Hello everyone, and the organization that I've chosen to do for my inclusive environment presentation this week is Starbucks Coffee Company. A background about Starbucks: they were founded in 1971 in Seattle, Washington. Starbucks initially focused on selling high-quality coffee beans and equipment. In 1981, however, their focus shifted to replicating the Italian coffee culture, transforming the organization into an espresso cafe and expanding globally. Starbucks' mission is to be the premier purveyor of the finest coffee in the world, inspiring and nurturing the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Starbucks' primary goal is to deliver high-quality coffee, foster connections among customers and communities, promote sustainability and ethical sourcing, and create a welcoming environment for both customers and employees worldwide. Starbucks claims to be committed to inclusion by defining one of its core values as belonging and prioritizing inclusivity in our recruitment practices, in partner engagement, and by continuing to foster inclusive leadership. The diversity and inclusion component addressed by the organization that they struggle the most with, however, is its accessibility and inclusion of physical disabilities in its retail locations. They've acknowledged within the last year that most locations do not provide accessible doors for their customers and employees, and that they are currently in the process of developing the inclusive space frameworks. This framework is meant to provide a more adaptable space for customers to navigate with any variety of disability and equipment for baristas that provide visual and audible cues. A connection to the course material is the single most obvious reason to push hard for diversity is that promoting diversity means promoting understanding, and that leads to better products that solve problems for all who might have otherwise been sidelined. This is important because Starbucks claims that their mission is to connect with their customers and their community, and they cannot do so without understanding the needs of their customers beyond just the coffee that they are serving. How Starbucks has made a change. With feedback from our partners and communities, we continue to make improvements and changes to our approach to ensure that opportunities and resources are distributed consistently and equitably, allowing all individuals to actively engage and contribute to our organization. Some of the steps that they've made so far are adjusting core values. So one of Starbucks' 5 core values is belonging. This value is meant to encapsulate inclusivity and diversity in the workplace and in the coffeehouse experience for customers, highlighting the importance of treating each other with dignity and care. The other step that they've taken is retail renovation as a part of their inclusive space framework. This is focused on redesigning their coffeehouse spaces by adding automatic doors, lowering handoff planes, and creating more inclusive seating and adjustable lighting, as well as implementing new coffeehouse equipment, such as their Vertica machine, which provides the visual and audible cues, which is demonstrated in the third step of new equipment. That is an instant coffee machine that notifies the barista of the brewing process from start to finish, with an audio cue that tells them the different steps of the brewing process and a lighting cue that tells them when it is done brewing so that they do not hurt themselves by putting their hand in hot coffee. This is important because the Center of Disease Control and Prevention estimates that 61 million American adults currently live with disability. So, in inclusivity practices, when we are hiring diverse populations of people, it's important for us to have equipment that allows diverse populations of different disabilities to be able to work in that space. And that first step at making that a possibility is having the equipment that provides the ability and assistance that their team might need. Some of the organizational challenges that they are facing: despite Starbucks Coffee Company's claimed efforts at creating a more inclusive space at the beginning of 2025, they made an adjustment to their policies, removing their long-standing value of being a third space. This means that as of January 2025, Starbucks coffee houses will be meant for paying customers only, and staff will be permitted to use police assistance for those who do not abide by the new policy. This policy change, though implemented with pure intent, may have negative impact on their efforts at inclusion. Removing third space practices may exclude individuals who aim to use the space as intended, but are physically or mentally unable to do so. The policy encourages staff to approach individuals prior to using the bathroom or sitting down to ensure that they intend on making a purchase. This relates to our course content with this quote: "The judging person is not motivated by conscious emotional prejudice, but making decisions automatically and unconsciously guided by the rules of thumb, informed by stereotypical assumptions about behavior of a given group of people." So we are making those judgments on customers who may have not been able to make a purchase immediately upon entering the building, given or guided by that rule of thumb of customers only and not a third space. Some of the outcomes of this inclusive environment practice: policy changes. Starbucks has continued to make changes to their policies under the direction of their new CEO, Brian Niccol. These changes include closing over 900 stores nationwide, new equipment, removing third space practices in the name of the coffee house experience. It also includes framework changes. Starbucks claims to be focusing on redesigning stores to be more accessible for customers and staff, but changes will happen over an unidentified timeline and have been in the works for over 2 years at this point in time. These changes include ADA doors, seating, and counters. Another outcome are their core values. Starbucks has redefined their core values under craft, results, belonging, joy, and courage. These core values are meant to improve inclusion and experience of all staff and customers. I have listed all of my sources below, and thank you so much for listening to my presentation.